Greetings, friends. Welcome to the first installment of our summer video series, Fantastic Beasts and How to Draw Them. My name is Mr. J, and I'll be leading you through our lessons each week. I want to show you that anyone can draw something cool, so each drawing is going to be relatively simple, using mostly just lines and a black pen. I'll be drawing with a 0.5 millimeter micron pen, which should give us a nice solid black line, but really any sort of pen or marker, or even if you want to use pencil, will do. We'll also start each week with some simple shapes as guides. Here you'll see that I've drawn myself a triangle and then this upside down sort of trapezoid shape. You should go ahead and use a pencil to add these to your own page so that we can then erase them later when we're done. You can always feel free to pause your video if you need to catch up. Believe it or not, by the time we're done with this video, these are going to turn into a fantastic creature that we've seen a lot of books come out about lately. Everyone's favorite mythical horse, the unicorn. So, let's get started. Now, the first thing that I'm going to want you to do is over here at what we're going to call the nose of the triangle. I want you to draw the letter C. Just like that, the letter C. Then from there, we're going to draw a little line right up the top of our triangle, just like that, maybe a little bit further. So we're about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way up that line, at which point we're going to do a little bump. And we're going to come back to that, but that's going to be our unicorn's eye. Now from underneath the mouth, underneath on the bottom of the C, we're going to draw another bit of a line right this way, about the same distance along the triangle as we did on the top. And from here, I'm going to have you do another kind of a C shape, but this one's sort of upside down. It's going to be a part like an arc from a circle, just like that. That's going to be the cheek of our unicorn. Now, from here, we're going to draw down the front of the unicorn, and we're going to do the unicorn's chest. And we're going to use the front of this trapezoid to help us do that. So let's start right here. We're going to start right at the corner of the cheek, and we're just going to draw a straight line. Comes all the way down, all the way down. But then once we get to that corner, we're going to stop, because right here is where we're going to start the bend in the unicorn's leg. Our unicorn's going to look like it's walking a little bit. So right at the corner of this trapezoid, we're going to go at a little bit of an angle, just a little bit back. Not too much, just a little bit. And then on the back side, we're going to draw another line. I'm going to draw another line that's just parallel to this line. That means the lines are not going to touch. And we're going to start right at the bottom of the trapezoid. So we're going to draw just down like that. Nice and simple. And that's the front, that's the first leg of our unicorn that we've already drawn right there. Now before we go to the rest of the body, let's draw the unicorn's other leg, which is going to be stepping forward a little bit. This leg steps back, so that means the other leg, the unicorn's going to have step forward. And now we're going to start that about halfway along this trapezoid. So let's find that midpoint of the trapezoid. It's going to be right here. And we're just going to draw that front leg so it comes out a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. You can see I've got a bit of a curve to it. But once we do that, just like we did for this leg, we did 2 lines. On this leg, we're going to do 2 lines about the same length. So let's draw that in right there. And now the unicorn's leg gets a little bit thicker at the top. So we're going to come back with that and show how the leg gets a little bit thicker. Now we need to do that on this leg too. So we're going to extend it up. We're not going to go all the way to the top of the trapezoid, not quite. Instead, we're going to come up and up sort of just like that. So we create an opening at the top of the leg, it looks like, but really it's just how the top of the leg of the unicorn is wider than the bottom of the leg. Now, on the back of the unicorn, not too far from that line where we just finished, we're going to come to the top of the trapezoid. And this is where the back of our unicorn is going to start. And the back of the unicorn is going to come down, looping just a little bit underneath the trapezoid, but it's going to come up so that the unicorn's rump, if you will, sort of comes up to the top corner, sort of wraps around the back here, and we're going to end right at the bottom corner of the trapezoid. So follow along, and you'll see what I do. I come down just a little bit. We're going to go up. Going to come down and around, and we're going to stop right there. Now, because this leg is coming backwards, the back leg on that side is going to be coming forwards a little bit. So a horse's leg, its joints are a little bit different than ours. So this one's actually going to come back a little bit, maybe a little bit further, and then we're going to come back forward actually. And that's going to be the back of that leg. Now, if we do our other line, just like we did, 2 lines for each leg, sort of like that, and then we're going to come up and do the thicker part of the leg. Now, back legs are usually bigger than front legs, so you can see this one is a bit thicker than this one is. So now we have the back, the butt, and then this leg right here. So of course the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the underside of the unicorn, its belly. So we're just going to basically connect the front to the back, just like that. Now, just like we did this leg coming forward, because this leg was going backwards, we have this leg coming forwards, so the other leg's going to go backwards. And we're just going to do a little bit of a line going this way, and then just poking out the back over here. Just poking out the back. So now we have 4 legs for our unicorn, and it kind of looks like they're stepping forward. Hopefully it'll keep looking like that. So why don't we finish off the legs while we're at it, and we're going to put some hooves on them. Hooves are what we call the feet of animals like horses. And of course, a unicorn is based off of a horse. So we're going to do a little bit of a hoof like that. You can see I did a bit of an angle and then curved around the bottom and then came up the back. And then I just connected the top right there to designate the hoof from the leg. Now we're going to do that on all of these other legs, keeping in mind the direction that the leg is facing. This one was kind of flat because this leg was almost coming straight down. You see these ones are at angles. So this hoof, we're going to do a little bit different. It's going to be a slightly different angle to start. And you can see we come away with the hoof looking like it's sort of stepping back a little bit. Now this hoof is on the ground, so it's going to look a lot like that first one. So let's try this one on the ground. Forward, angle, down and around. We'll do the back of the hoof, and then just connect that line. And now this leg kind of came out looking a little bit funny, but that's okay. We're going to see if we can do this hoof so it looks kind of like that hoof. So we're going to come down at an angle, we're going to come back up and around, line for the back, and then we're going to connect the two. And now you can see this leg kind of looks like the back leg here. This leg kind of looks like the front leg here. And that's actually an important part about how horses walk. Like both front legs are not going to go forward at the same time when a horse is walking. Now when a horse is running, that's a different story, but our unicorn's just walking along. So now you see we have a lot of the outline of our unicorn here, but let's come back and just revisit this head real quick. So just after the eye, what we're going to do is we're going to sort of come up, and then we're going to turn this into an ear right at the very top corner of that triangle. So we're going to just come up a little bit, and then we're going to turn this into an ear, which means we're going to do a little bit of a loop up, and then back down, and we'll come out to a point. And then this will come down and around, and that'll be the underneath of the ear. Now, we're going to sort of designate the inside versus the outside of the ear. That's going to be really simple. We're just going to take our pen or pencil, and we're going to make a little half circle right here. And that's going to be sort of the inside of the unicorn's ear, you can see. Now, over here, where we started to draw the eye, but we didn't quite finish it, right? We're going to come back to this line. We're going to come forward just a little. Then we're going to come back with a bit of an arc. And you can see that that creates a shape sort of like that. And it looks like the eyelid, right? And once we do that, we're going to come back around, finish off our circle, and then that's going to be our eye. Now, we have different parts to our eyes. We're going to just do two parts to this unicorn's eye. First, we'll do a big sort of black circle right in the middle. We're going to fill that in, just like that. That's what we call the pupil of the eye. And then if we want, we can do a bit of another circle, and that sort of is like the iris. That's the colored part of your eye. I'm not sure if you can see that too well, but you can make your unicorn eye look like whatever you want it to look like, and that's just fine. Now over here, this is where we clearly drew the unicorn's nose, right, on the nose of the triangle. So I'm going to start with just two black circles, and that's going to be our unicorn's nose, or its nostrils. That one's going to be a little bit smaller. You can see it sort of connects with the line of the nose there. It's because it's technically on the other side of the unicorn's face. Whereas this one will do a little bit bigger, and it's going to be a full shape. And that's because that nostril is on this side of the face. And then why don't we just put a nice little smile on the unicorn's face, because it's a friendly unicorn, right? Most unicorns are friendly and helpful. Then over here, you see I've left this big open space. I wonder if you can guess what goes there. That's going to be the unicorn's mane. I wanted to leave that space so we could sort of fill it in as we wanted, but I'm going to do some lines, just kind of like little arches, little arcs with my pen, and I'm going to do that a bunch of times down here, and that's going to create the mane of our unicorn. So we'll just go sort of like that. So that's a bit of a mane. Maybe we have some hair that sort of flares out a little bit. Sort of connects some of our lines here a little bit so that it looks cohesive. So it looks like it's all put together. Maybe there's some that goes around the back too. Just like that. Now we have a mane to our unicorn. Now, just like we did the mane here, where we have sort of a bunch of lines to designate the hair of the horse, we of course have to have a tail on our unicorn. We can't forget that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some wavy lines off the back here. It's not going to look too much like the mane, but the idea is kind of the same. You'll see what I mean. So let's start right here at sort of right towards the corner of that trapezoid, actually. Let's start right there. And we're going to do a nice long sort of curving lines This one will start up a little bit further. So that's kind of funny looking, right? But just like we did over here, where I had some of these other lines to make it look like the hair was sort of a solid piece, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do some little shapes like this coming off the tips here. And then from there, I'm actually going to do some more lines. I'm going to do a line in between each of these. I'm going to come out like that. And then this one will come out like that. Oh, there's a big space there. Let's do another one. Sort of like that. Now over here, we'll do in between these two. One more right there, how about? And then you can see how it's starting to sort of come together. Here, let's do some more lines that connects the tips of these points back into the rest of the hair. So we'll go like that, we'll go like that, we'll go like that, we'll go like that. And you see how it looks like, starting to look like the hair is sort of all bunched together and flowing in the wind almost as the unicorn travels along. Now, I bet you're guessing there is the most important part of this unicorn missing so far. And that is, of course, the horn of the unicorn. Otherwise, we've just drawn a horse to this point, right? So here we go. We're going to put on the most important part. One line, two lines, and that's going to be the horn on our unicorn. Now, of course, there's a lot more that we can do to spruce this up. But first I want to show you, now that we're sort of done with our shapes, I'm just going to take an eraser very carefully, kind of go in between the different lines of our pen. The pen won't erase, but if you rub the eraser on it too much, it might smudge it, or it might sort of make it look faded, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to just focus on in between the lines here. And then we got the triangle for the head, of course, just like that. And that gets rid of our shapes that we used right from the beginning, and we have just our pen left. Now, like I said, you can do all sorts of things to make your unicorn a bit more exciting. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a second ear, actually. Sort of sticks out the back over there. You can see that. Now, the horn on a unicorn we sometimes see as like a curled up thing, almost like soft serve ice cream. So I'm going to do some downward kind of curved lines, just like that, to make it look like the horn sort of curls up to the top. And while we're at it, why don't we do some little lines just like this. So it's sort of like the magic that comes out of the unicorn's horn. You see I did some big lines and then some littler lines, and that kind of looks like a burst of magic coming out of the horn. You could keep going forever, of course, but let's do something over here. What shape is this? Can you tell? Yeah, it's a star. So maybe that's just something that this unicorn has as a decoration on it. You could, of course, always keep shading things in if you wanted to make it look even fancier. We'll draw some lines, just real simple like on the back legs, to show that there's a shadow from underneath the horse. And we can do the same thing sort of along the belly of the horse too, because there's going to be a shadow there, kind of like that. And then of course the hooves are usually sort of black in color, so we'll do a little bit closer together lines, and then we'll do the lines in the opposite direction, and that's going to make it look like the hooves are darker. Sort of like that. Or if you really wanted, You could just color them in completely. Just like that. And there you have it. We have a unicorn. That is our first fantastic creature and how to draw it. Feel free to show us your drawing. We'd love to see how it came out. And if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that's okay, because you know what? My unicorn's not perfect either. But with practice, you'll be able to make it look better and better, and maybe even change the way that it's moving. Instead of a walking unicorn, maybe you could draw a unicorn jumping or casting a spell on somebody with its horn. Unicorns are almost always magical creatures, and they're smarter than your average horse too. So they could actually talk to you if you ever were to meet one. So what kind of story does your unicorn have? What where does it live? Who are its friends? What magic does it use? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.